Yeah, it works!
That's how that works. Every time I look up Dark Cloud, I'm always surprised that it sold as poorly as it did in Japan, and conversely, it doing really well worldwide. Unless you owned a PC, this type of genre bend mixed with a roguelite was practically invisible to you. The only easy analog I can think of that's vaguely close is ActRaiser, and who the fuck knows what that is? What do you mean it got a remake, excuse me? Dark Cloud managed to blend everything together decently. It still had a few chunks floating around the smoothie. Stuff like thirst, character redundancy, weapon durability. Clear things that could be iterated and improved on. And boy did they get to work on that for the sequel. Or prequel. Or remake? Did you know? Emulation is awesome, but also kinda bad, but kind of awesome. I ended up emulating Dark Cloud 2, and it works wonderfully. It can be beaten from start to finish with zero problems. But here's the catch. You will have these tiny graphical glitches that refuse to go away no matter how much fiddling you do. So I'm just going to state this right here, right now. Somewhere at some point in this video, there will be things that are a bit wrong, and that's something we are just going to have to be okay with. No, it's not piracy. I have the game on PS2 and PS4. Yes, I know it's also called Dark Chronicle, but we'll be calling it Dark Cloud for consistency. No, I'm not re-recording this. This game took me over 40 hours to complete. Yes, we are moving on. In the far distant future of 200 years ago, we see a castle under attack, and before you have time to blink, we have a combat tutorial. Which almost killed me. That's a good sign. I wonder what happens if you do die in the tutorial. Awesome, don't suck at video games you've never played before, got it. The girl rushes into a very familiar looking throne room to find her Wait, we know that guy. That's Sita. You know, the dude who gave us the girlfriend potion. Or the, I'm Die. And yeah, this is definitely the same room as the end of Dark Cloud 1. That's actually super cool. Little did I know that this one point of consistency would cause an unfortunate amount of headaches. Just consider it an Easter egg and move on. Back in the present past, our main character Max lives in Palm Brinks, a town that has isolated itself from the rest of the world. And after a tragic clown infestation, Max ends up in the sewer, underground channel. Yeah, this is definitely not a sewer. And decides to see the outside world for himself. So since the game is hell-bent on throwing the whole circus at us, might as well go over the combat first, since I think it's the part with the most refinement over the first. Let's start with the obvious change: the characters can equip two weapons. No longer will people be divided by petty things like ranged or melee. We are all equal when we embrace the dual wield. While guns will forever be just that, guns, the expanded moveset for melee is the key that makes this game feel tighter and more reactive. Before, in Dark Cloud 1, we would run up to a dude and sunlock the hell out of them, before dashing out of melee to avoid a counterattack. Easy peasy. Fun for the first time perhaps, but not for long. Melee also had charge moves with a generous amount of iframes. You could use it for counterattacks, but if the enemy lived, guess who's getting a face full of mole? However, in the present past, we got invincible backflips, advancing attacks, short and long combos, consistently working charge attacks, thank fucking god, pursuit attacks that are honestly really bad. Can you take that one back, please? We don't want that one. I can't overstate how much this helps the combat from getting stale. Having options to you, even if 9 out of 10 times you do a charge attack for an easy knockdown, being able to decide on the right option at the right time feels fantastic. I'm engaging with enemies in ways I never could before. And if all you want to do is run up and stunlock them like the good old days, you can. Nothing's stopping you. Should all this thinking and deciding nonsense start overwhelming you? You could always just throw a rock. It is a free stun, all you gotta do is not miss. Something that would never happen, I'm sure. Though it feels like you should have an attack that can launch all these rocks lying around. You know, tactically position yourself between you and an enemy and smite them. What I'm saying is, Rogue Galaxy has some good ideas. Man, I sure an elephant doesn't drop from the ceiling. That would be a horrible transition. I said I hope an elephant does... Alundra? We can't be doing this. We can't still be making Alundra jokes. This is getting old. At some point I'm gonna have to move past him and... Oh fuck. Is he... Is that blood? Oh fuck, he's dead! Cut camera.
Learn is an elephant. Oh, she's launched the ball into the air. What a majestic flip. I believe this is the sphere shot. Oh, will she stick the landing? Beautiful shot from Linda. The goalie better be prepared for this. But no, there's another point for the B-Side Orox.
Roadblocks need robots, so we better get inventing. One of the characters hands Max a camera and tasks him with taking pictures of ideas and sets him loose on the town. Inventing is something you don't have to engage with outside this one plot instance, but if you decide to go on a photo shoot, you can craft some really powerful items early on, and sometimes exclusive stuff you can't get anywhere else. Investing in inventing is necessary if you want a beastly ride pod. Yeah, Max gets a mech, him named Steve. Steve is a wrecking ball on skates. If any monster poses a problem, or the game just flat out tells you to use him, just summon Steve and bam, problem gone. It's a little insane how strong Steve really is, to be honest. Why even fight bosses normally when Steve exists? So there has to be drawbacks when using Steve, right? No. His HP ticks down as you use him, but it's so unbelievably generous you wonder why it exists. If you're a filthy rock thrower, you've been picking up ride pod fuel, so there's no worries about it even running out if it could. His weapons can be repaired with the same stuff as Max, too. Enemies still drop money and XP. You just unmount Steve if you want someone else to pick up the goodies. I'm sorry, there is one downside, but it depends on your perception. Overuse of Steve is going to leave Max and Monica wasting away. That's pretty much it. Oh look, Monica's here, just like that. Wow! I assure you nothing was missed. She ozoned a clown and poof, 2 party members. Just like Max, she comes with 2 weapons, swords and magic. Has her own but similar moveset, etc. However, there's some weird inconsistencies between the two in terms of animations. Monica was given more elaborate / skilled animations to separate her from Max. This is a good thing, but also a bad thing. Monica's dash and pursuit attacks are much faster than Max, but the more impactful charge attack feels undercooked when using her. These differences are annoying to discover, but unfortunately are a product of the time. I don't care if this animation makes the move unusable, it looks cool, put it in! I'm looking at you, Star Ocean 3. So if Max gets a mech, what does Monica do? Well, brace yourself, because you are not ready for this. Her special ability is being able to turn into a rat! Which is something I greatly appreciate, but to nobody's surprise, it's not very helpful. I can't even call it her special ability. You go to the future, buy a badge, and Monica's all like, I can turn into a flower now.
Got it! Nice!
Monster Transform is a really neat idea. Being able to mingle with monsters and learn things from them organically is a really cool idea. But if you want it for combat purposes, prepare to grind. You might be surprised that I just dropped the future on you, but again, I assure you the game just fucking goes. Hey Max, with these stones we can travel through time! The story just drops something like that on you and you gotta keep up. If you're still hung up on the future food that heals all diseases, then prepare to be left behind when a fat anteater pops out of someone's head. I should give a summary, huh? There is a super bad person named Emperor Griffin. He exists 10,000 years in the past and is slowly erasing the future, and hunting the Atlamelia stones. These stones don't show up in the same time periods because they choose who owns them, remember that? So Griffin cannot erase areas or timelines to hold these stones, instead choosing to influence people in the future to help him find them. Monica goes back 100 years to find the person who owns the counterpart to her stone, the Red Atla, to help her rebuild the future and fight off Griffin in her time. Max agrees to help, both to see the world and search for his mother. Nice, simple, clean story, right? Time travel in fiction is hard. I know that. I can accept some bullshit for the sake of a wider story. As long as we have some nice, easy rules to follow, I'm okay with some contrivances, shall we say. Thing is, the game is so flippant with the rules, it just breaks my brain. At one point, someone orders a flying fortress to turn into a mech, right? And the leader is like, "What do you mean this place can turn into a mech? That's stupid." And he gets the response, "Max and Monica changed the future, so you don't know about mech mode." What am I supposed to say to that? I'll give the game credit that it never dwells on anything it says, for better or for worse. We buy an item that can time travel to an important memory someone has, and not once does someone talk about the Alundra in the room. That is, we can time travel. It just keeps going on to the next absurd thing. Gotta respect the pace. Nonetheless, in order to complain about the future, we have to build it first. In dungeons, we can find geostones, which contain information needed to start building. These can be picked up by anyone, and I have to say how much of a nice change it is. No longer do you have a party member whose sole purpose is to collect all the building blocks. Alright, Dark Genie, it's time to end this. Ooh, a piece of Atla. Ooh, a piece of Atla. Bring the geostones back home and marvel at your new recipes. Oh yes, not pieces, actual, craftable blueprints. We ain't matching circles to circles no more. Now to start building, hand me those materials, please. You have the materials, right? No? Don't fret. The dwarf that created the builder machine that is allowing us to rebuild the future just so happens to have an infinite supply of anything you could ever need. He just needs a small fee, of course. Get used to this, man. You will be here a lot. I'm in two minds about the new building system. It gives you more freedom to approach the goals the game gives you. Unlike the first Dark Cloud, I doubt everyone's towns are going to look that similar. Nevertheless, since everything comes out of my pocket, I have absolutely no desire to make this look aesthetically pleasing. Which is a huge shame, because that was one of my favorite things about the first one. Doing one final beauty pass with all the vanity parts the game gave me, at least made me feel like I created this village, like it was my own creation. The geostones also give you the previously mentioned goals that will restore certain things in the future. You can't make the future unique to your playthrough. That would be so much effort for a system like that. I don't blame them even attempting something like that. It's always a static location that gets extra bits added as you complete goals. Although having a pink house in the middle of nowhere does not make a future, so let's bring along some people. There's a whopping 26 townfolk you can bring along for the ride. Some of them need to live in certain locations to make sure something exists in the future. But they can also be brought along as a support character. They all have passive or active abilities that will aid or make something easier as you explore. If something about the game is bothering you, chances are that someone can help with that. Question: if the baddie has wiped out most of the world, what does that mean for the dungeons? It might be a surprise to hear this, but 4 out of the 6 dungeons are natural locations, which is a little rare for a game like this. Sure, you'll see things like bridges or like man-made doors, but that's kind of needed for the random generation. Once again, we have roguelike dungeons with floors that are never the same twice. We've seen some improvements over the first Dark Cloud. Paths are now capable of joining into multiple rooms or themselves. There's a good chance that dungeons will have a more circular design, making exploration much smoother. We also have more room types, and in the case of Starlight Canyon and Ocean Roar Cave, new ways of presenting dungeons. And thanks to the more naturalistic nature, I wrote that. Ugh, that's awful. We can do a few more things inside them than usual. After defeating all enemies, Max and Monica will play this little victory animation.
Looks like we got them all.
With everything dead, a lovely jam getting you in the mood. It's time to fish, friends. It's not a hard minigame. See that meter on the right? Don't let it fill up. Bottom meter? Reduce that to 0 and you get a free fish. It's a fun enough activity. I actually spent a session or 2 just fishing on the ocean and listening to podcasts. It was kind of nice, actually. You can fish in more places than dungeons, but dungeons have the cool fish. There's a reason to at least give it a go. As you progress through the game, the mayor will announce new fish-based events back in Palm Branks. One of them being a simple contest to see who can catch the biggest fish. Me. I catch big fish. Me. And the other event is the Finny Frenzy. It's fish racing, where you race fish. Yeah, not my cup of tea, really. That stuff is all optional, so if you want to fish for fishing's sake, nobody's gonna stop you. Sometimes it's nice to just sit down, relax, and... Who the fuck is playing golf in this valley? No one lives here! Sorry, I'm not very good at this. What, you thought level 5 were content with this amount of game you have? Now we gotta fix the time distortions, Max. The time distortions! Time to play golf! Once again, the minigame is alright. It's a tried and true power gauge that you have to time on the way back sort of golf game. But it has to be played in dungeons. Do you remember what I said about the dungeons? Randomly generated. Natural locations filled with hazards. Water. Lots and lots of water. A red flag should have been raised in development when the golf minigame is at its best and most fun in the last dungeon, with its smooth, easy to protect walls and no lava. If you get really good at the golf, I'm pretty sure it just turns into free treasure chests. However, until you get the confidence to make these sweet ass shots, you're playing the safest game of golf ever created, because someone decided that the rewards for golf should be really good. Plus, you need 10 unique golf clears to pick up a town member, and she sells cosmetics. Fuck, I haven't talked about the cosmetic pieces. Or a bunch of stuff, and this video is, how long? Okay, lightning round of things before the story wrap up. Let's go, let's go, let's go! The music is really, really good. An improvement over Dark Cloud 1 in almost every way. Nothing but good things to say about it. It's also very pretty for a PS2 game. My footage is kinda ass, and the texture size in game is actually kinda crappy, but the art style and the colors make this game shine despite its age. The game does run at 30 FPS though, boo, and that does not help the combat feel any less stiff. Weapons movesets can change depending on the weapon or transform into different types of guns. This is usually fine. But one of Max's weapon trees forces him into a machine gun that kills him. I am not joking, it can kill you. I know they wanted the building to be more freeform, but please give me some kind of grid so I know what the boundaries are. Alright, I think I'm done with everything notable I wanted to talk about, so let's move on to the ending and post-games content. I truly don't think there's anything here that's special story-wise. You don't play this game for the plot. But I will throw up a spoiler warning out of courtesy because I believe that some people should have that option. So, skip to this time code to jump to the end in summary. Where do I start? Let's start with Max. Max's mother is secretly from the future, and she claims that she can't come back because she belongs in her time. Max calls us out and flees. We get a train of traveling further back in time that our stone's allowed to go fight Griffin. And he's voiced by Hubert from Futurama.
That's the name you humans have given me out of fear. Well, no matter. A name is but a name.
It's hard to take that seriously. We beat up Griffin and he does the most obvious ploy you could ever think of. Gets all 3 stones and turns into his anime form. Using this power he lifts up his castle, travels to Max's time somehow, and starts attacking the future. In order to counter this, we travel to Stonehenge and summon our own floating laser castle from the further future. Upon entering the castle, we are ambushed by a ghost queen, telling us the Griffin's name is Cyrus and he's actually a really nice kid. Don't be mean to him. We restore the castle's garden, which I found to be a fun little puzzle, mostly because it was more like the first game, to be honest with you. We see memories that Cyrus and the Queen shared. Cyrus is just a poor rabbit boy who likes flowers. How could he possibly be evil? Well, it turns out Cyrus was possessed by an evil spirit that might or might not be the genie who may have traveled through multiple timelines like he said he would in the first Dark Cloud. Don't make me think about this more than I already have, please. I want to go home. Anyway, 5 minutes until the moon hits the world. Better hurry up and defeat the boss. Hooray, you've killed the big bad, but boo, the moon is still falling. Surprise, Cyrus is part of a lineage that can make the moon go away. That's who he is. He just forgot because I don't know anymore. Everyone goes back to their respective time, and Max writes a letter for his mother to read in the future. End credits. Man, that sure was a game. I gotta give it to level 5 for taking the formula and improving it to this degree. The PS2 was full of this kind of iterative design, and, Chapter 8? I'm sorry? There's more game?
What do you reckon, Max? Will you help?
Yeah, of course.
Okay then, I've got a favor to ask. I want you to go to the mine and search out some Zelmite, which we need for fuel.
Clear the mines? Did the ending not happen? It did? I'm down a Monica. The 6th dungeon is no longer available. The future is unavailable. What is going on? Usually when a game like this has post-game, post-credits content, it treats the world state as if you never entered the last door of the game, never did the last possible thing in the story. But here in Dark Cloud 2, we are treating this content as canon. Weird. Clearing a dungeon this strong with one character is gonna be a bit of a problem. Especially since, you know, if I die, it's game. Ah! Oh, hey, Monica.
After what happened with Griffin, time travel was forbidden in my time. But hey, no sense in sticking so strictly to the rules, huh? Where?
Do I have to say anything? Time travel is illegal, so I time traveled? Alright. Thankfully, I have this really OP magic gun, and everything is made kind of trivial by it. And this place is really, really big. I wonder what's at the end of this cave. The Dark Genie? What do you mean? He never existed in this form. He only looked like that because a mouse fell into the urn. But Toan went back in time and stopped his creation. So the mouse should have never fallen in the urn. I thought I understood how everything works, and now you drop this bombshell on me. I'm fucking done. Part of me wants to complain about the length of Dark Cloud 2, but that's my opinion right now. An almost 50-hour game for me is a bit of a chore. But back in 2003, a game lasting this long on the PS2 without menu-based combat and also being good would have been a much bigger deal. It's not a perfect game, we still have mechanics hanging on for dear life that should probably get the cut, like weapon HP. However, it's no surprise that level 5 grew to such heights after these two games. Dark Cloud 2/Dark Chronicle is available in the PS4 store for, what, £12 or $15? I grabbed it on sale and that was like £4, and that's an unbelievable amount of value for a game like this. If you ever see it, please consider picking it up, it's well worth your time.